So here we have the post-game for part 7 after we did the civilian recruitment game. Now the very first bit we're going to do before the usual 6 parts is actually showing you how the recruitment works. So for the long drawn death, I managed to recruit 1 civilian. What I do is roll 4 dice. Be 7 and 7, so that would be 14. Now what I can do is I can take that model and turn it into any model up to 14 coins worth. So what I'm actually going to do is I am going to replace them with a fanatic model and add that to the group. As for my opponent, they are going to roll the 4 coins for this civilian that they saved or rescued. So they have rolled a 10 in total, so they can have any model up to 10 coins worth. And my opponent has decided that they are going to choose a mercenary who is worth 10 coins. Now for these ones that we've chosen, we don't have to buy them equipment now, but if we wish to use them, we will need to buy them equipment later in the post game. First of all, we start with the injuries. I'm going to roll for my 1 cultist with sword that was removed. I would not roll for the civilians that were removed, as I also don't get to keep them. So they've rolled a 10, which means they are dead, which is the dead version where I get to keep their equipment. So I get to keep the basic weapon and the dagger that they had, but they are removed from the roster. Next, my opponent is going to roll for the 4 models that they lost, starting with this pirate with a cutlass. They've rolled an 8, so they need to roll 1 more dice. And they have a, I believe that's the broken arm or the battered arm, so that means that they will have -1 to their combat skill and shoot skill. Next, for the pirate with a sword. Oh, that's an 11, so that's them dead and their items are removed from their equipment and weapons that they're carrying are removed, but no additional money or anything else is lost. For this one with the club is a 7, so they are absolutely fine. And then here, finishing up with the marksperson on the end, we have a 3, so I think they actually might net them an extra experience point, but or some gold. So give us a second and we'll just have a quick look. So we've had a look, and number 3 for that marksperson is the lucky, which means they can participate in the next game as normal and they get D6 extra coins added to the group. So my opponent's going to roll a 5, so they just put that 5 next to the marksman's dice or marksperson's dice. As for the first pirate, we have confirmed that it is indeed actually it's a broken leg, so the model is now moving and charging into combat 4 inches rather than the usual 6. On top of that, they will miss the next game while they go into recovery. Coming on to experience and skills, first we need to roll for my alchemist because they got a load of kills and have managed to rack up some experience up to this point. So they got a 6, which gives them street smarts, +1 to their intelligence. However, they are already intelligence 2, so we need to re-roll this into a 3, which is crushing might. So they have +1 to their damage stat. On top of that, this cultist with a bludgeon, who has just sort of survived through quite a few games, also deserves a skill. Getting a 6, so in this case they also get street smarts and they have an intelligence of 3, so they can keep that 1 and go to an intelligence of 2. As for my opponent, their alchemist has gained enough experience to get some skills, especially after the kills they got in this game, so let's see what they get. A 6, they, again, street smarts, but their intelligence is already a 2, so my opponent gets to re-roll that one. Into an 8, which is danger dodger, so model gets +1 inches when using die for cover or fight or flight reactions. When we come to income gathering, for the long drawn death, it is 7 dice, 5 models removed including the civilians that were on the enemy's side, and then 1 for surviving alchemist and 1 for winning the game. Well, that's not bad. So we've got a 10 there, and then we've got an 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that comes to 25 in total for them. Next we come to my opponent's income gathering. They get 4 dice, 3 models removed, and their alchemist survived. So they have rolled up an 11. However, they will also get an extra 5 coins because of their marksperson's recovery roll. So that will take them up to a +16 coins they will get just now. For the recuperation side of things, for the long drawn death, they are going to use their recuperation ability on this cultist here with the bludgeon. who is the one who also got a skill. Okay, that is just enough so that he is +1 resistance for the next game. As for my opponent, they are only going to use one, they're only going to spend 3 coins to make one concoction of their choice. So that does mean here if they roll a 1 now, they will lose those 3 coins instead of getting the concoction. Nope, they've rolled a 6, so that's fine. And they've already decided that they are going to turn it into a number 4, which is the Scatter Bomb. For my purchasing and hiring, for purchasing of fighters, I am actually buying, first of all, a favoured pet. Second, I'm going to buy back a cultist and give him the sword or basic weapon and dagger that I took from the other cultist that died. Essentially, same model, just reusing them. Then on the end is the fanatic I got from the civilian. However, that fanatic I have also given a basic weapon to in the form of that sword. So that brings me down to a grand total of 0 coins by the end of it, because that's me spent everything. As for my opponent, they are buying their mercenary a pair of basic weapons. They've got an axe there and a sword on the side. And then they are also buying a favoured pet in the form of a dog for themselves. That leaves them with 3 coins altogether. So it turns out I don't have 0 coins. I already took out the 6 for the 2 rolls I plan to make. So let's roll for those concoctions. So that is a 2 and a 4. Now in the case of the 4, I get to pick that one. What I'm going to do is turn that into a number 1, which is the high damage venom dart. So that gives me an opportunity of a long range shoot. Next, my opponent is going to spend their last 3 coins for a roll of their own. Okay, so in that case, it has turned into a 4, which is another Scatter Bomb. Last but not least, we come to the exploration. So I'm going to roll for myself for the Long Drawn Death. 9, so that gets me Cunning Plans. In the next game, roll a d6 after you've completed any reaction. On a 6, the fighter may move, shoot, or charge into combat that phase as though they had not used that reaction. However, they may still only use 1 per phase. Quite useful. There's a 1 in 6 chance that I might get to simply act on top of my reaction. So we'll see how that goes. As for my opponent, they originally did have the Tactical Plans, but unfortunately didn't get a chance to use them in the previous game. As it's a new end of game or new post-game phase, they do need to roll a new exploration. When they get a 7, and unfortunately, a 7 means they get nothing, because that is actually written in the rules as no luck. Nothing is found at the end, or is it nothing is found for the next game? Bad luck. So unfortunately, my opponent gets no exploration. With that, we come to the end of the post-game for Game 7. As we can see, the Long Drawn Death kind of needed a bit of a boost, and I'm hoping that from this one they actually got that. With that, we are going to wrap all this up, and next weekend on Sunday we will send out campaign game 8. We're not sure who's going to be fighting off against each other, but we'll have a look through the listings and see what would be the best matchup. So with that, I say goodbye from myself and also from my opponent, and we will see you in the next battle report.